I do want to get your thoughts. We'll talk OU in a little bit, but I want to get an OU fan and an OU insider's thoughts on Texas, right? I mean, it's got to be annoying to y'all to see and hear the hype surrounding Arch Manning, considering he started 2 games, one against an SEC team, and that was against a Mississippi State team that went 5-7 last year and was the worst team in the conference. And there's all this hype. He's one of the favorites to win the Heisman. He's first-team All-American on a bunch of these preseason publications. Like, how much is it bothering Oklahoma people that – we'll just start with Arch Manning before we get to the team as a whole – that Arch Manning is getting all of the love that he's been getting?
A lot. A lot.
Yep.
Now, there's been an incredible amount of hype for Texas over the years for a long time now. So I think if anyone gets annoyed by it or kind of knows that or sees that, it's OU fans,
sure.
Right? So yeah, I mean, he was asked to be he was put in a really difficult spot last year against Georgia, but look what he did against Georgia when he got in the game. Or I'll tell you one that really, Arch Manning at dual threats at quarterback. And you'll hear the OU fans saying, oh, my God, quit acting like he's Vince Young or something out there running around. Like, Arch, clearly, he's got some speed. He can use his speed. He had a big run against Mississippi State last year and a few big runs throughout the year. But
sure.
I think that there's also some annoyance about they act like this guy's got 4.4 speed out there running around or anything. So I think
he had 21 miles an hour last year. Come on, man.
So, look, we're used to it.
Yeah.
We know it. It's the Texas hype, season. And normally over the years, you just roll your eyes and say, Texas will freaking disappoint, man.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think it's hard to imagine a Manning at quarterback with the roster and the surrounding talent that he has just being a total bust. Like, Arch is going to be good.
Sure.
He's probably going to be really good. So I think that we all know that as well. But, yeah, the Arch Manning. But, like, even seeing him as the Heisman Trophy front runner, that's stuff like that, you'll roll your eyes a little bit and say, God, this is just out of hand.
Even for me, it feels a little bit out of hand, right? Like, I'm pumped. I'm excited. I think he's going to be really good. But the fact that he's up there with, a guy like Cade Klubnik, who started a couple of years, a guy like Garrett Nussmeier, who started last year and looked really good. Like, it's hard to argue against it just being the name. Again, he looked really good when he played last year. There's plenty of reasons to believe that he can do those kinds of things, but it's so rare to see quarterback with that little experience get this type of preseason.
Yeah, I mean, and you guys talk about this team like every way that you can, but like just even for us that pay attention quite a bit, and I do a lot of show content with Texas,
sure.
Naturally. But all the talk really is about Arch this, Arch that, Sark. Like, I don't think nationally, God, I hate to give this program credit, but here we go. The defense for Texas is not talked about as much as it should be. It was the better side of the ball last year, man. At least I think.
I agree.
And then now you bring back Anthony Hill, you bring back Michael Tapp. I mean, they bring back some really good defensive players this year. And I'm kind of thinking like maybe the defense for Texas is going to be the better side of the ball again.
I think it has to be, especially early on, because the defense has 7 or 8 starters back from last year, and the offense only has 3. You're breaking in a new quarterback. You've got 4 new offensive linemen starting. You've got 3 new starting wide receivers. Like, you got to be ready to go week 1 because you're playing Ohio State at their house. But there's reason to believe that it might take that side of the ball a little bit longer to gel and mesh. The defense, they lost the Thorpe Award winner. Yeah, they lost Andrew Makuba. They lost Barron Sorrell, and they lost both of their defensive tackles. I mean, there's some talented guys that'll be playing on Sundays now, but you've got more back on that side of the ball. And you brought up 2 of them. I'll throw Colin Simmons in there as well.
Yeah, for sure.
You feel like you have an All-American player at every level, which gives you a chance. Obviously, you need more than just 3, but like to start off with the guy you feel like could be an All-American off the edge, a guy who might be a top 10 pick as an off-ball linebacker, which is crazy nowadays at linebacker, and obviously Michael Taff, who's walking around here right now. Like, that's a good baseline for what should be a really good year.
You got to replace some award winners, but what was the conversation last year? Man, Texas just had like the best defensive line it's had in a long time, and you still ended up being a pretty good defense, even though you had to replace a lot of those guys. So
yeah,
they're going to be good. I'd say coming from the weak Big 12, you and I used to do a show together titled "In Defense of the Big 12."
Yep.
And I think OU and Texas could have like 2 of the best defenses in the SEC this year.
Well, okay, tell me about Oklahoma's defense because, Phil Steele is very high on the Sooners. I know you guys have talked about that on your show on the Ref, but, I mean, he thinks y'all have the best defensive line in the conference, and he thinks despite losing Danny Stutzman, the T-shirt model, who's finally off to the NFL, fearing a bunch of other people now, you still have the best linebacking core in the SEC. I think he has Texas and Oklahoma tied at number 1 at his linebacker position ranking. So how good is this Oklahoma defense despite losing not only Stutzman, but a couple of guys who were instrumental to that side of the ball?
Look, it's going to be a big deal to replace Stutzman and Billy Bowman.
Yeah.
Like that, just those guys were there from the beginning of Brent Venables totally changing this program into a defensive-led program, right? Like those guys kind of led the way in the OU defense being where it's at now compared to the first day Brent walked through. So those guys are going to be difficult to replace. I think overall, will OU be as talented defensively as they were last year? I think that there's a chance to that. Okay. I think there's even a chance that even without those guys, there may be even a little bit more talented than a year ago. But this OU defense is going to be so much better. And the biggest reason why, it really has nothing to do with the defense. The offense last year was so freaking god-awful. I saw some bad Texas offenses over the years, some really bad Texas offenses. Well, I thought Case McCoy-led Texas offense was bad, and then he started throwing dimes in the Cotton Bowl year, which is like super freaking annoying.
I love
it. But no, the offense just put the defense in terrible situations last year. Like they would turn Tennessee over inside the 10-yard line, go score. They turn the ball over back on the very next play.
Yep.
They get another interception off Nico, and then the offense turns it over the next play. They're at Ole Miss, and they're in it, man, and the defense gets a big turnover. Offense gives it right back the very next play. Or they'll go 3 and out all game long. Like, the offense consistently put the defense in terrible spots. And you would probably admit, like, OU's defense was good last year.
Sure.
To the point where when we talk about last year, we say, yeah, but that second quarter against Texas, they did not tackle well. But when you're highlighting individual quarters, and those are like really some of the only examples, you had a good defense, despite being put in terrible situations. So I think that this offense is going to be really, really good, which is going to put the defense in much better spots. There was one SEC game last year, where the defense was actually put in decent spots, and that was the Alabama game last year. They won 24-3.
Yep.
Held the Tide without a touchdown.
And Jalen Milroe looked like a middle school quarterback.
Yeah, he tried to trip
game.
Kip Lewis on his way to the end zone for a touchdown.
I forgot about that. Yeah, classic Alabama. High Tide right there. Okay, so now I've got to return the favor here because I'm getting a little sick and tired of hearing about John Mateer, right? And I've started my film watching on John Mateer. I watched a little bit of the Apple Cup game last year, Washington State. Like, he's a talented kid. There's no doubt about it. His dual threat ability is great. If you lose contain on the edge, if you're not disciplined as a pass rusher, if you fall asleep on him, he's got the ability to make you pay. He's a talent. There's no doubt about it. But I just, obviously with Oklahoma fans, but even nationally, it feels like they're talking about that dude being like some sort of savior for the Oklahoma football program. It's such a jump up in competition. Some guys can do it, but it's such a jump up from competition going from whatever the hell Pac-2 Mountain West schedule that Mateer played last year to not only an SEC schedule. If it was Texas's SEC schedule that y'all had, I'd be like, maybe y'all's last 7 games this year, the defenses that John Mateer is going to have to go up against, unlike anything he's seen in his college career. So I feel like people are just assuming that his game is going to translate a little bit too much. How do you respond to that?
Do you think a home and home with Oregon State throughout the year isn't as difficult as maybe playing LSU at home or going to Alabama?
I do think that's the funniest thing ever, that they played 2 regular season games against each other. If Texas and OU did that, could you imagine?
Oh, got to be amazing.
We'd have casualties in those games.
Still wouldn't make it a night game, I'm sure.
No, and you and I agree with that needing to be a night game.
Yeah, look, there's no doubt it's a step up in competition. I would say, even though OU's offense was terrible last year, that he's going to have better supporting cast than what he did a year ago. But sure, man, like, I think John Mateer is supremely talented. You went under the hood. You're breaking down all the film. You saw it last year. But it's a step up in competition. He wouldn't be, though, to be fair, the first ever guy to come from a lower conference and go into the SEC and play really well.
Sure.
Diego Pavia did it last year at Vanderbilt, actually beat Alabama, beat Auburn a year ago. And then how about Jaden Daniels? A little bit different because he came from the Pac-12. But he goes to LSU and he ends up winning the Heisman Trophy. But no, I mean, it's totally fair, especially when you have a schedule like Oklahoma has this year, which I don't know what they did to piss someone off. I don't know what backroom deal Texas did, even though that home schedule you guys have is just god-awful.
Yeah.
Man. It's gross.
It's not fun.
It's gross. But John Mateer's a really good player. I think where his biggest impact has been felt and probably will continue to be is not only was OU bad offensively last year, they had like no leader. And the whole leaders thing is normally something I roll my eyes at, but you got to have a dude on your offense, right? You do. And it really helps when you have a dude at quarterback. And I think that he's just kind of that presence to the point where, and I think I told you this a few weeks ago, there's been the comparisons of got a little Baker Mayfield in him.
Oh boy.
Got a little bake in him out there.
I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like we went through this same song and dance with Jackson Arnold going into last year.
Hey, you sound like my listeners. You guys said the same thing about Jackson Arnold.
I won't blame you. It was the
know,
entire fan base. And I'm like, look, I know he was a 5-star recruit, but all I had to work with was the Alamo Bowl against Arizona where he turned it over 14 times. And it's like, well, he made all these, he made like these 6 great throws, so ignore the turnover. It's like, I can't ignore, what was it, 5 turnovers?
It was a lot.
So it's like, but like, I thought he'd be better than he was. Obviously, y'all did too. But does it not feel like, maybe there's a chance it's deja vu in a bad way?
It can't be that bad. There's no way it can be that bad. No way. Now, to be fair, I said that throughout the year last year.
Right.
I'm like, I kept challenging worse, and worse kept happening. But yeah, I mean, look, I think Mateer's going to be good. Is he going to be the best quarterback in the SEC? I mean, I don't know, but he's going to be a hell of a lot better than what they had last year. And if this offense can just be okay, just be solid, I think the defense is going to be good enough to win you some games. But he can't do it alone, though.
Yeah.
No one was successful last year because every position group was bad. So is Mateer good? I think he is. I think he's a massive upgrade. But if that offensive line is bad like it was a year ago, then what are we talking about?
I was going there next. Like, what's like? I think Bill Bedenbaugh is one of the best offensive line coaches in the country. I think he has been for a long time. So just seeing the Sooners' offensive line look as bad as it did last year was shocking. It's shocking to me. So what changes were made? How does that group get better? Is it just wishful thinking that it's going to be better, or should it actually be significantly better?
I'm going to throw out a name that Texas fans have never heard before. They got this kid named Michael Fasusi, a former 5-star offensive line. I know you guys have never heard of that guy before.
No.
I think I wouldn't project him as a starter right now. But, okay, they're just going to be healthy. Like, even right now, compared to where they were a year ago, they were already beat up, and there's just no continuity, and let's throw in a freshman here. I mean, it was a disaster. I don't expect them to have the best offensive line in the SEC or one of the best offensive line in the SEC. I think the hope is that group is just solid with some returners from last year, right? That kind of got thrown into the fire. It's a group that's a lot healthier. They got some players in the transfer portal. Just be solid is I think what you have to ask from them next year.
So what are we expecting? You brought up Diego Pavia earlier. I think everyone believes a big part of Pavia's success in his first year at Vanderbilt was the fact that, Vandy hired his offensive coordinator and his quarterback coach from New Mexico State. So he didn't have to learn a new offense. Like, it was a much easier transition than a lot of guys have. Obviously, Oklahoma, they bring Ben Arbuckle to be the offensive coordinator. John Mateer hypothetically doesn't have to learn a new offense. What are the early returns? I know it's only been spring and summer workouts, but what are you hearing about Ben Arbuckle, and what gives you confidence that whatever he does is going to be significantly different than whatever happened last year?
You have to, check yourself a little bit because he hadn't called a play yet for OU.
Right.
But you talk to other people around Norman or whatever, they just say, oh, this guy's a stud. Man, this guy's he's just a stud. He's super impressive. He's smart. You should see him at practice. He's really got a feel for things. Kids, all of that sounds great in the offseason. But like I said, he hadn't called a play for Oklahoma yet. But the early returns are you took a swing at offensive coordinator. Brent Venables' job is on the line this year, dude.
Yep.
And you took a swing with one of the youngest offensive coordinators in all of college football this year, right? I mean, that's a big-time swing. But the early returns is this guy, he's a real up-and-comer. We like what we have here. And like everything else with the offense, I don't think it could be much worse. Seth Luttrell was a disastrous.
It was.
Disastrous.
And John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt Finley or whatever the hell his name
Joe
was.
John Finley, basically the same thing. Yeah, tight end was bad as well.
So the question, I know I've asked you this before. Hell, I probably asked you on TSU this question before, and I'm sure you guys have spent countless hours talking about it, and I'm sure you're tired of talking about it. By the way, Rex St. Charles says, tell him it can absolutely be that bad again.
Is Patrick complaining on there? I'm not. He
says Brett Bomar is his favorite blow you player, and he says don't forget about that woman beater Mixon.
Yeah.
Good dude.
I mean, I got no comeback to that one, Patrick.
Yeah, we all saw that
Patrick.
one on film right there. So it was a harsh punishment, though, that Bob Stoops levied on Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I mean, you got to set an example, though, right?
Exactly.
You really got to set.
What was it, a quarter
example
against like some D2 FCS team that y'all played?
Something like that.
Yeah, that's great. I got to ask the Venables question, man. Like, is it a magic number? Is it an eye test thing? Is it a combination of both? Like, I know there are a lot of Texas fans who are like, whatever he has to do to just keep his job for another year, we want that.
Like the Jimbo thing.
Yeah, Texas fans don't believe. Like, I don't believe in Brent Venables. I'll admit it. Like, I don't think he's a very good coach. I think you guys can do better. I think if we were not in the era of NIL where it's easier as a blue blood program to turn things around, you guys could be at the start of Texas's 12 years of suck that Texas just got out of. I don't expect that to happen with Oklahoma because, again, there are ways to get out of it easier now than it was in the past. But what's it going to take for Brent Venables to just not only save his job, but get Oklahoma fans bought back in?
So it's weird because you guys have been through this before and you've covered coaching searches before, but this is the first time since 1998 an OU coach has entered the year on the hot seat.
Wow.
1998, John Blake.
It's a great point. Yep.
Big Game Bob was never on the hot seat going into the year.
XFL he has been recently.
We won a title 2 years ago, right, but we've not capitalized off the momentum.
What have you done for me lately, Renegades?
Yeah,
come on.
Especially in a football-hungry town like Dallas there, right? But, so we call him Muleshoe. We call him TBOW, that B out. We call him a lot of things. He was never on the hot seat, and Brent hasn't been on the hot seat going into the year until this year. So it's weird to say it that way. 6 and 7 year, that's not good enough.
Okay.
7 and 5 year, I don't think that's good enough.
What if
at least 8 wins?
What if Texas is one of those? Like, does that game carry more weight? It's different. This is very different, and I'm sorry to even compare you to this team.
Oh God!
But Cliff Kingsbury, when he was at Texas Tech,
heck, you're comparing us to the Sand Aggies?
Oh, they just beat both of us on a recruit.
Oh,
I know. But that was like
what?
Kingsbury was getting fired. Tech rolled into Austin, beat Texas. That saved his job, and then somehow he got promoted to the Arizona Cardinals the year after. I'm still trying to figure out how that went down. But like this, the OU hatred of Texas, does that almost count as like 2 or 3 wins if he's able to get that one?
I actually had a rant about this. I actually had a rant about this last week because I keep hearing, well, if Brent's 7 and 5, it all depends on what that 7 and 5 looks like, right? If you get a win against Texas, and I kind of went off, I said, I'm tired of hearing about that. This is the freaking University of Oklahoma. Is Texas going to be good this year? Yeah. Is that your biggest rival in the biggest game of the year? Yeah. But let's not be the freaking Sand Aggies in Lubbock and, God, if we can just beat almighty Texas in the Cotton Bowl this year,
or
even if we
Aggies.
Go 7 and 5
That's
or something
real
like
Aggie
that.
Stuff right there.
I really like that drives me crazy. But if Brent wins 7, but if he beats Texas, since when is that like the end all be all? You can get your ass kicked in 5 other games. By God, if you beat Texas. So it would be a huge win if it happened.
Sure.
But I think you've got to be in contention for the college football playoff going into the month of November. That really tough stretch.
Okay.
Because here's what happened this offseason. By the way, in case you guys didn't notice, they were bad last year. They went 6 and 7 with a bowl loss to Navy.
Oh, don't worry. We noticed.
So, and also, it's been a long time since you've had a coach on the hot seat. You've never really had to pay a buyout in like any sport before, and you're facing a massive buyout. So here's what OU did. They said, okay, bad last year. Let's do our best this offseason to make it right. They went out and got arguably the best portal quarterback. They went out and got Jaden Ott, the best portal running back, who some think could be the best running back in the SEC. They got Ben Arbuckle, who we just talked about, the young, hotshot, up-and-coming OC. They got Jim Nagy, the GM. They got pieces on the offensive line. They got pieces at wide receiver. They got defensive guys. Like, they put as much money into this offseason as they ever had before to say, all right, here you go. Let's see what you got, Brent.
Yeah, people like Brent.
And they didn't pay for a 6 and 7 season. They didn't pay for a 7 and 5 season. I'm not sure they paid for an 8 and 4 season. 9 and 3, I think he's safe. But even 8 and 4, man, like that's going to be kind of an interesting conversation if that's what they are at the end of the year.
God, 9-3, you think he's safe? You're not like sure he's safe?
Well, if they're a 9-3 and they make the playoff, then I think that he's
even if they
good.
don't though, 9-3. I mean, last year, there were 3 SEC teams that finished 9-3. They all got left out. But to me, I mean, you go 9-3 with that schedule, and that's a 3-win improvement over what happened last year. Like that at least gets him a year 5, right?
Whoever the new AD is better not say, well, yeah, we were 8-4, but we beat Texas, so that was a big deal. Yeah. I might go scorched earth.
I heard you guys. Y'all had Bob's. Was it your show who talked to Bob?
We have him on once a week.
I heard you asked him about taking over as AD. He has no interest in doing
Zero.
that. You believe him, or is he
1,000%?
Okay.
Bob's he's living the good life there with the Renegades. He's got other, maybe to handle the roster there, and it's
weird that you guys have him on once a week to talk XFL football. I'm surprised it has that much pull in Norman.
Well,
Oklahoma.
we talk during the season a couple, and then hey, going on here with Oklahoma. Mac needs to get in the XFL, and we need to get the Bob Mac rivalry going on once again.
Yeah, that's going to go better for the Arlington team, I would think, than whatever team Mac is coaching. Oh, man, good stuff. Tyler McComas here, by the way. Tyler McComas from the Ref in Norman joining us at SEC Media Days in Atlanta. Normally it's Chip and Zay in this spot. They did the morning show. If you want to check out their 2 hours today, find it on YouTube or on the podcast page, wherever you get your podcast. We'll have some great conversations coming up over the next couple of hours. It is Texas Day at SEC Media Days in Atlanta. How many Oklahomas are there, Tyler?
How many
Oklahomas are there?
There's just only one.
There's only one. Okay, just making sure. You guys do tell us that a lot. So
only one.
I'm making sure.
Have you heard that Oklahoma only fears God, but Texas fears Oklahoma?
Well, I thought it was
that one.
The shirt. Maybe there was some fine print in 2023. I missed it. Oklahoma only fears God and Kansas and Oklahoma State. Texas fears Oklahoma. I can't say, I remember talking about this at the time, right? I can't say I'm upset that Texas got to play Oklahoma State in 2023 because that game was a blowout. The Horns won by 4 touchdowns. It was
a fat guy touchdown in that game, too.
Yeah, Tavondre Sweat scored a touchdown to the Heisman post. It was awesome. Texas fans booed the hell out of Brett Yormark when that game went final. It was amazing. But a rematch would have been nice. A Texas OU part 2, because that game left such a sour taste in every Texas fan's mouth. So, it would have been a much tougher game, obviously. But, you guys were, I don't know if y'all were too scared to play Texas again. You're like, we beat them once, and it's hard to beat a team twice in the same year. Oh, we know we can't get them again. But I'll forever be upset that we didn't get a rematch that season.
Probably the only time in my life where I did hey, nice job, Texas fans, was the booze to Yormark.
Yeah.
The dude had to stop. And Sark's in the background, come on, guys, come on. All right. He was so loud, he couldn't even talk. Imagine if OU fans were there as well.
Oh my God!
How loud the booze would have been. Well, let's at least pick on, instead of picking on each other, let's pick on a common little enemy here.
Okay.
I've walked all around the College Football Hall of Fame. And there's cool stuff on Barry Switzer on the walls. There's great stuff on Vince Young or Darryl Royal or Bud Wilkinson.
Sure.
Hey, here's what Texas accomplished under this guy. Here's what Oklahoma accomplished under this guy. For Texas A&M, the only display that they have is the yell leaders. Hey, here's what their yell leaders look like, right? That's all they have. There's nothing Texas A&M accomplished this over the years. It's God, what are we going to do for Texas A&M? I guess we better throw in one of their dorky yell leaders in here somewhere.
It's unique.
That's all they got.
It's it's the only male cheerleader outfit that I think exists in college football. And you and I were walking around yesterday, and they literally have a Texas cheer outfit on a mannequin next to an A&M milkman outfit on another mannequin, and it's these are what real cheerleaders look like, and this is whatever the hell y'all are doing at Texas A&M.
I think our SEC experiences, unfortunately, have been a little bit different thus far because Texas was good last year. Oklahoma was not. Mm-hmm. But we got to go to LSU. We got to go to Auburn, which was awesome. Got to go to Ole Miss. Missouri sucked. I never want to go to Missouri ever again. Not that I wanted to go last year.
Did you go to all those games?
Went to all those games last year.
Okay.
This year, you get to go to Tennessee, Alabama. You host LSU, and Auburn comes to town. You guys have had some fun. Georgia coming to town was a big one. But it doesn't feel like you guys have gotten the full road or even home SEC experience just yet. Is that fair to say?
I think that's fair. I mean, Texas will get some of it this year, the trip to Athens, the trip to the Swamp.
That'll be fun.
Those two feel like classic SEC stadiums and staple trips for Texas fans. But then it's Kentucky and it's Mississippi State. Those are the other two true road games. And then, I mean, it's just different. So, Texas has drawn not the shortest straw. Mizzou and Tennessee, like there are other schools that have easier SEC schedules. But, Texas, by way of having lesser teams on their schedule, they also have lesser quality road trips for the fans to make.
It's still weird that your first ever SEC game, OU opens up with Josh Heupel and Tennessee coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Texas A&M and Johnny Manziel had like Florida coming in to Kyle Field. Missouri had like Auburn or like Georgia or something like that. And you guys got Mississippi State at home. That's like that's still weird.
Hey, Jeff Levy, former OU coordinator. Yeah. They wanted the Texas OU thing, so they gave us Mississippi State.
Yeah, the guy that was there 2 years. Awesome. They really nailed it with that one.
Did a great job. All right.